Uh, Welcome back to another episode of Strike Talking Points. Today I'm going to go through, well, pretty much most of my days strictly focused around the current White House briefings, the press release, press tour, whatever you want to call it, that's going on. I just covered a couple of videos with Bernie Sanders, and now I'm going to move on to the Trump. Just the first part here, I'm not going to get too in-depth in it because I've got too much stuff to do today. However, we're going to go through real quick. This is a lady from One America News, who is a more right-leaning news organization, so very much in support of Trump. And he's literally telling her about this letter he got from Kim Jong-il and how you might see it in 200 years, 100 years, 2 weeks. He doesn't know, because let's face it, that's how Trumpy works. That's how he talks all the time. However, she's going to ask a question of the Polish Prime Minister, they're currently discussing a increase or a facility to be built in Poland to house U.S. troops as a strengthening bond as we sort of pull back some of our stuff from Europe, moving them around as the ties the U.S. has with other European nations, Germany especially, are starting to be tested. You're seeing that come into play. And I want to show you this article here. This is from March 13th. This is from Military Times. Real quick, prepare to man Fort Trump. U.S. has made Poland a very serious, robust offer for a base. Discussing Undersecretary for Defense Policy John Rude is meeting with Polish counterparts to make his week in Warsaw to negotiate a deal, but an offer to Poland has already been made. The Poles themselves have offered to contribute $2 billion and perhaps more to a potential base, which would serve as a balance against Russian aggression in Eastern Europe, officials say. Now, I have been hearing all these things about, the Trump-Russia collusion, all this news articles. When everything you see from Trump and policy-wise is very much against what Russia wants, and as far as the overall building, Germany, we've got Ramstein base, you've got a couple other military bases in and around Germany, and putting one in Poland does put it right on the front doorstep of the old Soviet Union. It puts it in the middle of it, actually, from where we have East and West Germany, and then you see Poland and the other former Russian conquest, members of the Soviet Union, whatever you want to call them, where he's discussing this. And I just found this very funny. Listen real quick to the Prime Minister of Poland's response to her question.
Someday you'll be reading about it, maybe in 100 years from now, maybe in 2 weeks, who knows. But it was a very nice letter. It was a very warm, very nice letter. I appreciated it. Okay?
Thank you.
Good, thank you very much.
And then, if I may, for President Duda, you said you were thankful for the commitment that the president made for more troops today, but you hinted that you would like to see more. Ultimately, what is the number of troops that you'd like to see in Poland, U.S. troops?
Szanowna Pani redaktor, to zawsze będzie...
Madam, this, of course, is always going to be the decision of the United States of America.
You cannot get a more short or concise answer than that. I'm not in charge. However many you put is how many you put.
Troops.
We just want some.
To zawsze będzie...
It's always going to be up to the United States to decide how many troops will be sent to which allied nation. Of course, I know that this depends on the needs and on the real situation on the ground. Of course, we are very pleased that the U.S. troops are present by giving an evidence to the sustainability and strength of the alliance. And the U.S. soldiers are kindly treated in Poland. They are received as friends, and we are happy that they are serving in our country. We would like those bonds between Poland and the United States to become even tighter, and we are trying also to create the best possible conditions for American soldiers.
Yeah, so he's just excited that they're going to be doing this, or make the investment for the mutual defense of Poland, because remember, anytime war breaks out in Europe or over the last few centuries, Poland is always the front line. They get attacked, and having a strong U.S. presence there would be a way to mitigate invasion from other countries for them, but very much defensive for Poland and also as a stopgap measure. And now they're going to call upon the Polish lady reporter.
Thank you very much, President Trump. Thank you very much, President Duda. I have questions to both of you, actually. President Trump, you plan to enhance U.S. military presence in Poland. Last year, you promised you would enhance military cooperation, training, intelligence, missile defense, and it's happening right now. People of Poland still remember your incredible speech in Warsaw. Why Poland is such an important ally for you?
I'm going to make a real quick joke here. Why is Poland a real important ally? Because that's where Trump gets his wives from. That's my joke. I'm sorry. I know I'm not a very funny guy, but I'm not a never Trumper. I'm also not on the Trump bandwagon. But he has a type, Eastern European brides. Melania, I cannot think of the rest of their names, but if you listen to his ex-wives, most of them have a very thick accent, and they are clearly Eastern European. And safe to say, the news lady there, she could be his next ex-wife. Sorry, that's my joke. It's my opinion. I thought it was funny.
I just have a very warm feeling for Poland. I always have.
And he made it for me.
And it's now even beyond that because of the relationship which we've developed with your president and first lady. And it's just, they're incredible people, hardworking, smart, very industrious people. And what they've done with the country over the last 5 years has been something that the world has watched and the world has marveled at. I've just liked Poland. So when the president came and he asked me whether or not we'd consider this, I said I will consider it. And now, because of his leadership, we're able to do that. And that's fine with me. That's great. Great people.
And also a side note to the great people thing there. Poland, Hungary, and a few other countries along the eastern edge are pushing back against the European Union's policies. They're not wanting to be kind of overran with foreign migrants, foreign labor. They're trying to basically rein in their own country, and I think that does kind of fit into what you're seeing from a lot of the more right-wing politicians around the world. They are trying to group together, to band together, to strengthen themselves against this unfettered migration, the great globalist overreach that you see in Europe and different places around the world. I only wish that the U.S. as a whole would pull back from these regime-change wars, as you see in the Bernie Sanders video. I believe it's the second video where he talks about the military-industrial complex and essentially this idea that the U.S. is sort of quasi-conquering nations through siege warfare, through these proxy wars. I really do think it should stop, because that would be a huge benefit to us. And if we aligned ourselves with, let's say, countries like Poland and these other nations who are wanting a U.S. presence there, who are willing to help pay for it, willing to be kind and allow the soldiers and people facilities there with them and to co-sponsor them and to be part of it, I think that's a much better way to approach securing U.S. interests around the world and secure the nations around the world. However, this is going to be my screenshot because you could almost see Trump proposing to her.
People and say hello.
So I understand we'll see you in September in Warsaw, correct?
We are looking very seriously at going back to Poland, and I don't know what the president has in store for us, but we're thinking about going back sometime in September. Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. Panie prezydencie.
The question to President Duda. Mr. President, so far we have been talking about rotational presence of U.S. troops in our country. Right now we are talking about permanent or enduring presence. What does that mean in concrete terms, and when can we expect those additional U.S. troops to arrive? I understand it in the following way. President Donald Trump and myself are implementing a very calm but consistent policy in terms of security. The presence of the United States in Poland, the military presence, the presence of U.S. troops, which today is about 4,500 troops present on a permanent basis. In other words, it is a rotational presence, but it is back-to-back presence. So there is no moment where there are no American troops in the territory of Poland. And today we signed a document on further cooperation, a joint declaration on defense cooperation regarding.
No, I think what he said was they're now rotating in, rotating out. Sometimes, with political speak and translation, you've missed something. But I think what he's saying, there's about 4,500 troops there, then they're gone, or they're rotating in one group of troops and then rotating in another. It's not like a permanent base where you would be there for X number of years or whatnot. They're just kind of shifting troops in, then they empty out, and then they shift some troops back. And I think
United States' force posture in the Republic.
I think what he's trying to go for is a permanent base there for the U.S., sort of like we have, in Germany and some of these other countries where U.S. staff and people are there forever. One of my cousins was in Germany at the Air Force Base for several years, and him and his family really liked it there. They actually had a couple of kids while they were over there. His wife was from the U.S., of course. They moved over there, were married in the U.S., had children over there, and then they came back a few years later.
Republic of Poland. This is of a breakthrough character because it moves us to another era. So far we can say that the Americans were testing the situation in Poland, how it looks, how they feel. What about logistics, whether it is possible to stay in Poland and to successfully attain the goals and implement the tasks of defensive nature. I think that the commanders of U.S. Army are convinced that this is simply possible. And today, the document speaks about this enduring presence, the presence which is a fact and which will stay there. It is a rotational presence. Yes, it is, because this is most beneficial from today's perspective to train soldiers through rotational presence.
So I believe what he's referring to there is a rotational training force that'll be there, a permanent base, but the troops in the base will come in, train with the Polish people, train them, teach them how to use it, self-defense against other nations. That's kind of what you're looking at there.
By having rotational presence, more soldiers can come to a country, be present there, look at the culture, at the condition in place in a given country. So this is beneficial for this broadly understood development of the armed forces. Therefore, this is an enduring presence. However, it is implementing this particular way, and we hope it's going to develop 1,000 troops mentioned by President Trump today, which is also the number stipulated in the agreement signed today, is very differentiated. It is not one single unit. We're talking about special operation forces. We're talking about logistics component. We're also talking about the already mentioned division headquarters. So there is a multitude of forms in which the United States is going to be gradually ever more present in our territory from the military standpoint.
Now, this to me, like I said, again, I think this is a very good thing because you have a country that wants U.S. presence there, that wants the cooperation, wants the training. They want to be, you can say that Poland is a Western country, so their culture will be different than the U.S., but it's not one where when you go in, you have to abide by extra special rules like you would, let's say, in Asia or in the Middle East or any place like that. It's a country much more open to what the West is, the people, culture, everything is more historically based around what we have. And this country is actively seeking to bring the U.S. in, and it's probably going to be a positive thing for everyone. 1,000 troops down, rotating out in another's division headquarters, and other aspects of logistics, all these different things in there. And since it is something that the nation is trying to bring in actively, as the U.S. is already active in Europe, maybe you'll just see a shift of people from bases in Germany and the rest of Europe moving to Poland, moving to these countries that are not as adversarial with the U.S. right now. And hopefully we will stay in countries that want us to be there, that want the cooperation, that want to help pay for it, that want to be, again, defensively partnered with the U.S. for training and other things. Very positive.
And this will encompass different fields of cooperation. So we're not talking about just one single beat, but we're talking about a more comprehensive cooperation. We're talking about logistics, health protection for soldiers, and a number of other elements happening. Please remember that right now there is this missile defense facility being built in Redzikowo. So
Redzikowo. I know nothing about Poland, and I want to state that. I know where it is roughly. I unfortunately, as a traditional English speaker, I can't make
talking about the elements of Polish-American cooperation, there are more and more of these elements, and the number is growing. I'm very happy with that. Thank you very much.
All right, now I'm going to leave it right there for everyone. Please let me know what you think about it. You know, an actual European power requesting the U.S. come in, build a base, trying to court us into a self-defense, mutual defense contract for training, cultural exchange, all that good stuff. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, dislike the video, whatever you want to do. I'm not in charge of you. Just thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.